Hey everybody, it's Jeremy, founder of PrinciTools, and I just wanted to tell you the backstory of PrinciTools and how I came to be where I am today. It starts out when I was about 13. I was kind of an adventurous kid and lived in a cul-de-sac, and everything was totally normal. It seemed like for me. Um, Grew up in Utah and just seemed like my whole life was normal. And then one summer, my dad just suddenly passed away, and so life turned upside down, and I was kind of left. It was so sudden, and I don't even remember the last thing I even said to him. It was just so dramatic and sudden, and so I was kind of left, and a lot of it was weird because I also had a brother who left on a service mission for 2 years. So I went from having a dad and an older brother to being the only boy in the family, and so it was kind of like this dramatic change. And a lot of people were telling me weird things at the funeral and saying like, "Oh, you're the man of the house now," and I'm 13. Like, what the heck does that even mean? What do I have to do? And there was a lot of weight on my shoulders, and I was very pressured, internally and externally. Just thinking like, how can it be better? Does my mom need help? Do I have to, make money for the family? Or, you have all these questions, and especially as a 13-year-old, you can't wrap your mind around some adult things quite yet. And so what happened was I had this struggle, and it was just such a weird thing. And I remember trying to find different ways to not really escape but cope with it. And I also had a hard time sleeping at night sometimes. And so I had this little alarm clock that I would listen to the radio on at night when I was trying to fall asleep. And if it goes to commercials, you switch it around, and I found this one show where it's kind of a mix between like the Dave Ramsey show where he's like financially helping people, and then Dr. Phil where he's like, you know, um, solving conflict between marriages and families and stuff. So it's kind of this like weird show on the radio where people would call in and just like lay out their life problems and say, "This is what I'm going through." And then the host was really cool. He would help them sort through their problems and sort through what they were going through, and he would teach them these different life tools. And so I'm sitting in my bed, at night, like maybe 2 in the morning, and listening to this show over and over. And it happened throughout that summer. I would just listen to that show, and it was kind of cool because I started to learn these different things. And I remember one of the stories he said was kind of this metaphorical story, I think, at least. And he said there was a father with two sons, and in this metaphorical, story, and the father was really abusive and bad, and an alcoholic or whatever, you name it. And so the sons grow up in this house where things are really tough, and one of the sons grows up to be just like his dad, but the other one grows up to be super successful, and grows up to be, have a nice family. He's not abusive, doesn't any of that stuff. And so he, in the story, somebody comes up and realizes once they're grown up and completely different, and he says, "Well, how come you are the way that you are?" And he asks the brother that's just like his dad first, and he says, "Well, I didn't have a good childhood, and it was really tough, and I want to be better, but I just feel like I got the short end of the stick, and I'm mad about it, and all this stuff." And then he goes to the other brother, and he says, "Well, it's I am the way that I am because of my childhood. I mean, I got the short end of the stick. I kind of was unfortunate enough to go through that, but what I did is I made it make me stronger." And so anyway, I'm listening in my bed to this story, and I'm like, I'm going through a hard thing, and I know everybody goes through hard things, and I didn't realize that you could choose what effect it has on you, and that you can have these hard things make you stronger. And so that was kind of the turning point and the first life tool that I learned that was like huge. And so I was like, I'm gonna make this challenge, this really hard thing that I'm going through, make me stronger, because I can't reverse it. It's out of my control. It's done, and it's really sad and whatever. But I can't I can choose moving forward how it affects me. And so I kind of turned it into this fuel for me to go learn these other tools, because once I learned that one, I was like, man, what else can I learn that's going to like change my mind that much to where I can be so much different and better and stronger and happier and all these different things. And so I was super, I was like on a treasure hunt, just going around finding these things. And I listened to that show for, I can't remember what happened, but I stopped listening to that show. But I really dug into like psychology. I took a psychology class in high school that I really liked, and I just kept learning all these things. And it's gotten so bad that in the last year I've read about a book a week on communication, psychology, mindset, all those different types of books, just because I'm gathering all these knowledges. And every once in a while I'll find a little gold nugget that just helps me to be that much happier, that much better, that much stronger. And so I'm like addicted to learning and growing, and I think that's a good addiction to have. And so that is kind of what I would do is I would take all this knowledge and boil it down into these principles that I would turn into tools. And so that's kind of where the name PrinciTools comes from, because you can take that story and that I first heard about the father and the two sons, you can boil that down into principles and then use those as life tools. And so, over the years, I've been so much happier. I've gone through a lot of hard things here and there, and just different things that happen. But I feel like it doesn't have as much of an effect on me, and I feel happier no matter what. It's this internal happiness that I have, and I don't say that to like brag. I say that because I know that I'm looking around and I see these other people that are sad, and they just go through life because they're not, because they just think that they have to struggle through life. They don't realize that they can choose their own path and grow and learn and be happier and stronger and live a better life. And so I see these other people, and then I see all these little gold nuggets that I have in my life toolkit now, and how they help me. And so that's the turning point that I was like, man, I just have to start teaching these life tools and telling my story. And so this story is, I'm recording all in one go, just on the fly. But this is my first rendition, and I really, really want to share these life tools with people and just help them understand that they can. It's crazy to me to look back to see that guy. He was on the phone, radio host, and he's changing people's lives. The people he's talking to on the phone and all the people listening, he's just changing their lives just by teaching little principles here and there. And you can find people like that every once in a while that just are life changers by these little principles and teaching people stuff. And so that's kind of the idea, is just knowledge can change your life. And so one of the things that happened was it changed, that story changed the way I thought, and then it changed the way I acted, and then it changed the way my life was. And so that's kind of the series of events that I hope to get out of PrinciTools, is to help teach people what the learning side of it, and then the action side of it, so I can help them understand the life tools and then how to use them. And so that is kind of the whole story, and that's where I am today. And by no means am I saying I'm perfect or anything, but I have these gold nuggets that I found along the way that I want to share with people, because I know that people, life is very malleable. It can be, you can be happier, you can be stronger, and things that can happen to you, they won't have as much of an effect on you, and you can use them as something to make you stronger. So anyway, that's the thing, and I wanted to just tell my story. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.